patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves.
The Western anime industry and their friends have doubled down on their defense of the woke and unprofessional translations. Well, what would a real Japanese person say to this?
Really seems like she's just doing it without getting paid. Randomly. Paid?
Yup, that's right. She's getting paid. Still. It's a miracle how people like this haven't been fired yet, but with AI coming soon, it looks like their time is coming to an end. So the other day I saw a post from Anime News Network, one of the biggest resources for anime news, unfortunately, and let's just say they have no idea what they're talking about. For people who write about this as their main job, their research skills are extremely lacking. It's like they don't even know what they're talking about. And to be fair, I mean, I can't really say I'm an expert, but I found this video from Sora the Troll, which you might know from YouTube. He's a popular Japanese YouTuber. And I also found an interview from an actual Japanese mangaka who used this AI. And let's just say we'll be debunking everything these woke Westerners have to say. Before we continue, let's get a little refresher. Take a look at what we're dealing with here. So the Ancient Magus Bride returns with an AI translation, and people are absolutely coping, they're panicking, just go on full-on defense mode of the woke translators. Of course, we got the usual suspects involved. Speaking of which, take a look at this tweet right here. The usual suspects are praising this decision. Well, take a look in the mirror, buddy. You're literally the usual suspect. Just one look at this guy's profile picture and you can tell they're like some type of Twitter leftist. I mean, I don't know what it is, but you could throw all these type of people's profile pictures into an AI to train on, and I'm sure it'd be able to detect whether they're like a leftist or not, because you know there's some type of a pattern with these guys. He's complaining about some of the translated dialogue from the AI, talking about does that flow well to you, even though it's pretty much standard English, at least for a fantasy setting. And of course the comments are clowning on him. Someone made a localized manga version, and just take a look. You better get yeeted. Hold up, wait a minute. Guys. This is just amazing. Get this guy a contract. Like, is this a Crunchyroll insider we're looking at? Like, we might be looking at some trade secrets right here, because this is literally what it sounds like. I mean, I'm watching anime this season for real, and like Hokkaido Gal something, and it got all the Zoomer slang like mid and whatnot. So like, I'm being serious right now. This is pretty much on point. And you have to know how uninformed these people are. You seriously don't know the main villain of this arc. The main villain, at least to you, the main hero maybe, Katrina, when you're seriously, confidently defending these terrible translations and you don't even know what people are talking about. God, I wish everyone had fans like this. Freaking bootlicker. Since the last time I talked about this, the situation has spread towards more mainstream media outlets in the US, as well as popular YouTubers like Asmongold and Absolute Tourist Normie Mudahar, or whatever his YouTube channel is called. Basically, it's also spread to Japan, such as with this YouTuber Pukujiji here, like a goldfish VTuber or something. And you can just tell by the title and thumbnail here. Japan says, hell no. Japan responds. I'm going to flip through a couple frames of the video here. Take a look at the comments, and like, you can tell how supportive they are against or for the AI translations, and how against the woke translations they are. Like, it's only been a couple of hours and there's already a comment with like a donation or super chat with 1600 JPY. That's like literally $10 right there, and it's only been a couple hours. That's how much they care about this issue, man. All right, so going to the post from Anime News Network, the internet's most trusted anime news source. Well, keep in mind this is an opinion piece, although, as we'll see, a very bad opinion. Right off the bat, these self-declared non-experts state confidently that the machine translations do not work. And that's coming from the people that are comparing this to the auto-translate feature on Twitter. Come on now, are you guys living in the 90s? Are you guys out of touch? No, they're living on Twitter because they're talking about auto-translate feature on Twitter. Like, get real. It's like comparing a baby stroller to a Lamborghini. ChatGPT, GPT-4, hello? Dude, these people are so anti-AI, they don't even know what's going on. So unlike these pair of clowns that have no idea what's going on, you know who actually does? Sora the Troll, a popular Japanese YouTuber.
I'm not gonna talk about what company, but I've been working with like some big companies too. I'm not gonna say who they are because NDA, right? It really seems like they do this process with GPT-4.
He's worked at companies that actually use this technology, and unlike these localization defenders, he's a real Japanese voice actor and translator.
Voice actor being a translator is really common now, it seems. That's what I do too, by the way.
And unlike the Western voice actors and translators, he's an actual professional.
So like they are trolling, basically. They are trolling. And when I work, I never troll.
Contrary to his name, he's not actually trolling at his job. But these Western professionals show absolutely unprofessional behavior.
To that kind of criticism.
To the criticism, like, I have a vagina, deal with it. Like, it's honestly, that's the truth. I am a woman.
Huge quotes on professionals. They do have a good point they mentioned, that with AI, they might be paying people a bit less money. And I say that's a good point because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I actually want them to make less money. The more Western money is in that whole anime production pipeline, the greater the Western sphere of influence, whether that money is in the market, being overseas, or the production somehow or another, like things like localization and translators. If Japan can somehow use AI to save money and take back some influence, the better, because then they can make the product how they want, when they want, and that's basically what we want. Obviously, they might just pay people less money and force them to do more work as usual. You know how it is with the anime industry. That's another topic for another story. But the point being is that with AI, their efficiency has increased, allowing them to take back some influence and reliance from the West. So some of the criticisms against the AI translations is that it's actually more time-consuming and inefficient, and also that it's not actually quote-unquote neutral, because they think that the whole woke translations is a whole psyops when it's actually pretty true. But yeah, let's take a look at an actual interview by Mantra, the AI company doing this, and an actual Japanese mangaka who has used this AI before, to take a look at how it really is. First, we gotta note that Mantra is a Japanese company. It's not some California woke AI, which I'll give you some examples if you pause through the screen right now from my last video of how bad it really could be. Now, fortunately, being a Japanese company, they've tuned it to the Japanese market at least, and they've made a custom product for manga translation. So we can see from the experience of this actual Japanese mangaka that it takes 1 to 2 minutes tops. That's tops for a manga page. And another thing to note is that these localization defenders, they're saying like, ooh, it's going to be more time consuming and more inefficient. But the reality is this AI is so efficient, it's actually taking more jobs than I even thought. Like, not only, so think about this, they don't even have to type. So first of all, it's doing the translations for them, and they don't even need to type the new translated version out because the AI, the computer's just going to type it for you. But also it's replacing another job called typesetting, which is basically when you rearrange the text into those speech bubbles with the different fonts and whatnot. It's just going to do it for you. So you don't need to be fooling around with that stuff. And it's got this whole UI that's pretty much custom built for manga translation, so they can adjust it as they want as well. So this is like the full package. Like, yeah, I'd be scared if I was them. Obviously, there still needs to be someone to operate the software and, you know, quality control, proofreading, whatnot, which we'll be going through later throughout this article. But for now, let's move on. Going back to the Anime News Network, they're talking about how this shit pisses me off so much, and they're talking about the culture war and the insecure chuds. You know it's already over when they say that, and how it doesn't conform to their narrow ideology becomes quote unquote Western politics. They put those quotes on Western politics, but you know what? It really is that. It's really the West, and it's not just the West, it's the Americans, and it's the U.S. Americans. You take a look at some other thing, like I was looking at this Dragon Ball Z or something the other day, and I think Spanish. They don't have these problems in those other languages. This is clearly a Western problem. They got some other criticisms, like how AI probably can't handle different dialects, you know, like Gyaru, and like they're talking about, oh, you don't want it to sound like a newscaster. They really think AI is just going to sound like a robot, like beep, boop, beep, like I like to eat curry rice. No, you can literally have different dialects. Don't believe me? Well, listen to Sora.
Can it use dialect? You can use dialects too. Like, that's kind of why this is crazy. Make it Osaka Ben. Ready? 今日な、うんちしてトイレにポイントな、アホやろ、わい。それな、この間マクドナルドでミルクシェイク飲んだぞ。飲んだで。と、12歳やけどロブロックスめっちゃやってんねん。フォートナイト、そらめっちゃうまいで。And if you still think this is like a not good AI, I don't know what else is.
So these people really try to nitpick everything to have this localization defense for their side. They're talking about the example of yabai, which can mean anything from sick nasty to hella fine to WTF gross. Absolute Zoomer talk right there. So it's true, yabai can mean good or bad depending on the context, but you don't need this Zoomer slang to say this. I mean, we have words like this in English. It's pretty simple. It's like crazy, insane, wild, etc. Those words mean good or bad depending on the context. Like if I say, ooh, I'm getting some insane views on my YouTube channel, that means it's good. Or if I say, these translators are insane, that means they're bad. Like, it's not that complicated. I don't know why these people are being like this. Though, of course, there's still a point to be made about the nuance of the Japanese language, which, take a look at this interview that they had with the people that were using the AI, and they said that there was a setback involving the word masayume, which the AI just couldn't get right. So there's definitely instances where you have to do some manual work yourself, but for the most part, it's pretty much smooth going with 1 to 2 minutes per page without any major corrections. They say, how long did it take to get the work done? And even though they spent quite a long time looking things up, because I guess a lot of the Japanese words don't translate well, it still didn't take more than 7 minutes per page. For pages where Mantra Engine did an especially good job, I'd say 1 to 2 minutes tops. That's quite a time saver compared to the time it takes to get the translation done yourself. So as we can see, this is efficient no matter how you look at it. Another argument these people commonly have is that people just bring the same 7 examples. This is simply wrong. There's 8 years of documented translation problems, localization problems in anime and games, and I don't need to scroll through all of them because I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. This anime season, Hokkaido Gyaru's anime, there was Dangers in My Heart recently, Onimai. There's even things like Chainsaw Man where it wasn't politicized, but it was just plain wrong and they had to fix it. It's becoming more and more often, but the reason people keep going back to the Dragon Maid example is because once you hear it in dub, it's just, like, once you hear it in context, it is just wild. And it's not just the way it was handled in the studio with the recording, but out of the studio too, with the interviews that were just plain unprofessional. It represents everything wrong, not just in the Western anime industry, but everything wrong in the Western entertainment industry. Another thing that the left curves at Anime News Network have to say is that if someone tries to tell you this decision is all about pushing out those quote-unquote woke translators that publishers must hate working with, and then they go on to talk about how it's still going to need translators to at least proofread, which is true. And they're saying that the real reason is that they're doing it to get ahead of damages caused by piracy. Look, we all know that's not true. They're not doing this for any other reason than to save money and to make more money. At the end of the day, everything comes down to a money decision.
Oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves.
Now I get the drama here. Wow, that's. But again, why did they not hire a proofreader for that?
Speaking of money, I don't think it's going towards the right resources right now. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but like Sora said, the proofreading is either non-existent or just straight up sucks. And at the very least, with AI helping out with the translations, they can now focus more on hiring better translators because now they have less work to do, so they should have a little bit more budget to allocate.
And proofreading, this part is so important. Like, this is when we freaking spend a lot of time on, really. This part, we don't have to pay for translators anymore. Like,
the fact is that people that are bilingual get jobs outside of the anime industry because, let's face it, the jobs in anime are bottom of the barrel and they're literally the scraps. Like, let's say you're in Japan and you're recruiting for a company that also hires people from America, and you know English and Japanese. So that's literally where the money's at. Why would you do that? Or you could work in the FBI, CIA doing translations. There's literally no point going to anime if unless you're bottom of the barrel, which these people are bottom of the barrel. But now that they don't have to pay as many people, they can pay one person more money so we can have higher quality proofreading. So these people say you need to have a firm grasp of English and Japanese, which is true, but it's funny to point out that they themselves have only a rudimentary level of Japanese. You know who's fluent in both? Sora the Troll. Here's what he has to say about how good the AI is.
Read it and make it sound natural. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is actually insane. That is actually insane. That is actually insane. Whoa. Japanese people out there. You know like how crazy this is, right? From Sora folk no yoni.
Crazy how these woke-alizers support these terrible practices, yet they deny that AI can be used to replace their jobs. Absolutely delusional. Look, I'm all for AI and the advancement of technology. Like we saw with gaming, I really think the more tools that are available, the more we'll see a boom in like independent, indie-led development of projects such as with anime and especially manga. There's so many works out there that just don't get exposed to the Westerners because they're just stuck on Twitter or Pixiv from some Japanese artist. But now with features like, I mean, this isn't anything big, but this reverse translation feature, you got a box for Japanese, a box for English, and a box for Japanese. If the two Japanese boxes are the same, then the Japanese person knows the translation is relatively good. Basically, what I'm saying is with something like this, you won't be seeing any patriarchal demands because it essentially fact checks it right there for the spot, on the spot there for you. So things like this are really going to allow these Japanese independent creators to get their works known to the rest of the world in an easier manner than ever before. And we're done. Like and subscribe.